Okay, this is a video about the 7mm eyepieces that you can choose and use. 7mm is a high power and low focal length eyepiece. You cannot use it at all conditions. That must really limit what you can see with it. But it's not as bad as some of the 2.3, 3, 4, 5mm eyepieces, or is not as wide angle as 12 or 10mm ones. Something in the between, which you can use on targets like the moon, the planets like Jupiter and Saturn. So it's a good range of eyepiece if you have holes in your eyepieces that you want to cover in the range of the eyepieces that you have in your eyepiece set. So I have here a set of eyepieces like that, and I will go through it with you. Of course, first we have to remember that there are eyepieces which are not very far from that range that I mentioned. One of them is, for example, 8mm eyepieces. There is not much 8mm eyepieces. This is a Starguider ED 8mm one. Quite large lens. It's comfortable to use, and yeah, it's not bad. The price of it, you can buy it second hand, anything between 30 to 35 pounds. New one is 43, so not very expensive considering that the quality is quite solid. There are Plossl eyepieces like this one that I have here, 7.5mm one, which is have a very tight eye relief. You have to practically get very close and personal with the eyepiece to see anything. But if you can live with it, and if you don't have enough budget, this can be a good choice. It's a Plossl at the end of the day. It has a good flat field of view, is relatively cheap. You can buy it as little as £10, sometimes even less in the places like auction sites, eBay and other places, or a little bit more new. It's better than the Ramstein and the Huygens ones. In the other range of the 7mm, I have a few here. You can get again, for example, something like a Meade 6.3mm eyepiece, which is here. Again, is a Plossl, very tight angle of view, but again, if you can live with it, it gives you it really give you good results. It has a, I should correct myself, tight eye relief, so you have to really take your eye close to it. If you're wearing glasses, you should remove your glasses to look in with this eyepiece to see anything. More comfortable one is this 6mm eyepiece, Planetary, TMB Optical Planetary 2 6mm. SW stands for super wide angle 6mm. It is one of the cheapest you can get. £23 in Britain, in America probably £30, in Canada around 35 to 40 pounds, Australia the same, and rest of the world you can calculate it based on the exchange rate. This is one of the best eyepieces you can buy. Big lens, good eye relief, nice packaging, good feel. The eye cup can be turned. You receive it, you think that is loose. It's not loose. You have to, you can loosen up, bring up the eye cup. So it has a good eye relief, or you can tighten it up, and the eye cup will be smaller. The distance between your eye and the lens. And it has a big lens, good quality, £23, really good. Second hand, even probably cheaper, you can get it. And then we come to Plossls, Meade and Celestron Plossls. They are again with the very tight eye relief. You have to get your eye very close to the lens to see it, but usable. You can use it. If you are short of budget, go for these ones. They are good. And this is a rare eyepiece, this one, Bertele B 6mm. B stands for Bertele. It's a patented eyepiece by the US Army. The modified versions of it are made by Russians and by Japanese. This one is Japanese, Asahi Pentax. It's from Asahi Pentax 60mm telescope. It has a field of view which is 60mm. Field of view of the Plossl is 42 millimeter to 45, sometimes 50. The field of view of this one is 62 degrees. And field of view means the tightness of the hole that you look through it when you completely, your eye is closed. So the bigger is this, you can see bigger portion of the sky. The tighter it is, you see a tighter portion of the sky. So that's a Plossl, a bigger angle of view, something like that. You see less of the body of the eyepiece and see more of the sky. And this has a 60 to 70 millimeter, comparable to a TeleVue Nagler almost. And this is a good eyepiece. I'm telling you, this is a good eyepiece. I have another one of these 17.5 millimeter. One of the brightest images I've ever seen I got with that one. But these are eyepieces if you don't have any 7 millimeter one. 7 millimeter is something in between this range. I can introduce you to something like the 7.2 millimeter Antares Speers-Walker eyepiece, super wide angle series 2. Good eyepiece, quite heavy for the 7 millimeter ones. Long, quite heavy, tall, and good eye relief, and build quality is good. The only thing is that it may be a little bit more expensive, or you cannot find it. It's made in Canada, and it's difficult to find it these days. You may come across it sometimes, but not really all the time. It's good. It's not very good, but it's good. It's acceptable. It gives good views. This is a 7 millimeter TMB Optical Planetary 2 7 millimeter eyepiece. It has a big eye lens, good smite or kind of Barlow at the bottom. Really good quality, solid. Again, the eye cup can be brought up. So for such a cheap eyepiece, really very good build quality. And if you are short of cash in this range, 7 millimeter, you cannot find anything better than this. For less than £23, you can have this eyepiece. Eye relief very good, so you don't need to really go very close to this. You can see the whole picture. The field of view is 62 millimeter, 62 degrees. This one is 82 degrees, very comfortable. This one is a bit tighter, but we come to the better eyepieces here, but in a different price range. This is a TeleVue Nagler 7 millimeter. This is the original or tape one, and now we have the eye relief of this was around 11 to 13 millimeter, I think. Very tight, but not as tight as this one's or this one. But relative to this one's, the eye relief was tight. But I'm telling you, if you find it, about this one £80, I was lucky. Usually it sells around 150, 120, anything around that price. The TeleVue Nagler tape 6 7 millimeter is around that price. This one 120, 130, 150, depending on the greed of the person or how much you need this actually. I must say this has given me the best views of some of the craters on the moon. The craters that were visible with this one, they were not visible with this one. You could see hint of it. And with this one, no, you could not see also. So this is a really good eyepiece in that range. So all in all, if I want to recommend eyepieces, if you're rich and you're not short of cash, this TeleVue 7 millimeter is for you. Nagler, anyone is original or later ones. If you're short of cash, this one is good. If you're lucky to find something like this, 82 degrees. That is also 82 degrees, I must say. But very tight eye relief. Or field of view is 82. This is 82. It's rare. You may not find it really. So don't bother to look for it. Probably you need only luck to find one like that. All the time you remember you can have Plossls if you're short of money. Always remember you can use the TMB Planetaries. They're very good. A little bit higher in price is the Starguider ED 8mm. And all these Plossls, if you're really short of money, they will work for you. They will serve you. You can use them. You can observe with them. They're not bad. They're good. They're basic, but they're good. You don't need a lot to spend. If you don't want to spend a lot of money, you just want to see that a few things occasionally, there is no reason to spend a lot of money like this one, £150. You can spend a reasonable amount, a low amount of money just to have this and enjoy it a few times. The occasions that you can use this really high power eyepieces is limited. You may not be able occasionally see anything good, any good targets with them. So these will serve you also, don't worry about it. Bertele, if you find it, get it. If you cannot find it, that's it, forget it. You don't find this. These are not very popular. It's patented by the US Army. Anybody else makes some modifications on them, including TeleVue. US Army, in this sense, have been very stingy with this. They don't let the people use this design. They use it for their own optical instruments, or probably they're not using it even nowadays. So, this is a category of the 7mm eyepieces that I have, and I think number one is this. For money and budget, this. If you're lucky, you get this one. This is cheaper than that, almost half price as that. Although about is £70, that one £80. But I was lucky in that sense. 8mm also will serve you well, ED. And Plossl is always available, cheap, better than Ramster, Huygens, When I was a kid, I only had Huygens. These were really a dream to have such a thing. These are good. But today's standard, they're very cheap. On this one, you may not find it. Okay, change the resolution to 4K. Hopefully you will not see much pixelation. You will see anyway, but not as bad as it was. What you see is now passing the center of the picture, hopefully, is what is called as Aristarchus plateau. And the light is not very good, and also the clouds are causing a little bit. And you can see the color of it is different. So one of the olivine-rich area. Olivine is a metal that the mineral that exists in the mantle area of the planet's crust, mantle, core, if you remember. These are the layers of the planet's planetary bodies, which are made of rock or any other thing that has this kind of layering. Any object, differentiated object, gravitational differentiation. So it's now passing the center, top of the center, above the center. And the brightest spot is the Aristarchus crater itself. And to the lower part of the image you can see the Reiner gamma. Oh, suddenly it becomes so clear. Try to bring it to the center. Yeah, it's now right dead center. I'm doing all this with my mobile camera, but I use a bracket. It's one of these ones that I bought. Digicam attachment adapter. I bought it from China. Really, I'm happy with the result. we are looking through the eyepiece directly. So just enjoy the view. Yeah, good as a map. All these lunar features are created by impact. Circular features are called crater. The craters to me are superficial because what you see is the geological feature like mountains, faults, even faults. I've seen some faults, can you believe it, and some thrust faults and faults. You have to look for them. And as my skill in digiscoping increases, I will try to show you more of these features. Aristarchus again is at 2 o'clock, and at 2 o'clock or 3:30 you can see the tiny dot of the Rhino Gamma, that magnetic anomaly. The superficial feature, they say that is because the soil of the moon, the lunar soil in that part, due to the magnetic field, could not be weathered, blackened, darkened by the solar wind, and that's the reason they have remained bright. They deflect the charged particles. You know that charged particles deflect in the magnetic field. So if there is a magnetic field there, although weak, it is working. It's one of the interesting anomalies. You can imagine if you're a science writer, science fiction writer, you can write about that. Is a city or something trying to protect itself from the damaging and carcinogenous effects of the sun and magnetic storms from the sun. Yeah, that's actually I made a good story, you know. If you're writing, write it. You can write, just give credit to me. Hertfordshire. Beautiful, magnificent Caucasus Mountains. The moon is spherical. Clearly you can see when I focus on the edge of the picture, the side of it is out of